Coming up, protections for endangered species, good news for Mexico's poor, and great news for sluts like myself. Welcome to Total Nileation, the podcast that brings you the better stories you should be getting, but aren't for some reason. I am Nile, aka Optimus Prime. How are you? How have you been? Uh, I hope you had a nice Valentine's Day if you're into that. At the time of this recording, I'm recording in the distant past. So on paper, I will have my Valentine's Day will have been spent working, doing shows in Kitchener at the Rusty Nail. And if you're really fast, you can fly back in time and come out to the show. I hope you're well. I hope everything's good for you. Um, Thank you if you're joining us on YouTube. Because you get to see my sweater. There's a sweater choice that I'm making right now. I bought the sweater because my wardrobe was looking rough. It had been a few years, and so I was like, okay, you start to cross that line into, oh, you need to like get new clothes, man. You really need that. And so I bought some new clothes, and one of the things I bought was a sweater that I thought would like kind of look cool. I don't even know what the name of this is. Is it a cardigan? It's a sweater. It's a gray sweater that I was like gonna stylishly wear around. I wore it to one show, and everyone kind of noticed that it made me look very old. It made me look like a dad who does not understand his child's pronouns. Do you know what I'm saying? If you're watching on YouTube, you might not get because you're just getting like the upper body. But if I stand up, you'll be like, "Oh yeah, that guy watches World War II documentaries." So, anyways, I'm wearing it now because I think I want to dress it up for the YouTube people, but also it is comfy. It is comfy as hell, and I only have a few more months to enjoy this comfiness. Because for the first time in years, Toronto is getting a proper winter. We had snowbanks and icicles, which I didn't even know I'd missed until we had a storm in January, and there we are. Guys, listen, let's just get to it. All right, let's get to the podcast. And yes, I know some time ago I talked about doing a reformatting thing. I'm still working on that. I want to have guests on. I've been kicking ideas around, but nothing really kind of lands. Nothing feels like a thing. Um, and eventually I'll just pick a close enough idea and we'll go with that. But for right now, I'm still kicking ideas around. And until that time, we're just we're gonna do what we do, y'all. Here for you now are the top good news stories from our home office in Finger, Manitoba. Number 7. China successfully greened approximately 8.47 million hectares of land in 2025. Also, in a related story, there are over 8.47 million hectares of land in the world. That is that's a number my brain can't get around. That is an insane amount of land. Um, yeah. Anyways, but nearly 3.6 million hectares were dedicated to new afforestation, significantly expanding the country's forest canopy. The national forest coverage rate has reached an impressive 25.09%, with a total stock volume of nearly 21 billion cubic meters. I hope you're a forest nerd and you understood those numbers. They seem impressive to me, but I don't know. I don't know. Over the last 5 years, China has completed 36.6 million hectares of greening, demonstrating a consistent long-term commitment to the environment. Fuck, that's cool. That's just cool. Okay. Degraded grasslands are being revitalized at an average rate of 3.1 million hectares annually, keeping overall vegetation coverage above 50%. In a major win for soil health, roughly 10.1 million hectares. Also, I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing hectares. If it's hectare, I'm just going to call them hex. Anyways, 10.1 million hex of desertified land retreated and stabilized over the past 5 years. China has become a global pioneer in achieving zero net growth in land degradation, effectively reversing the spread of deserts, which I don't know about you. Maybe I just don't know enough about nature, but for me, that feels like some sci-fi level shiznit right there. Isn't that incredible? That's insane. They're just reversing deserts? Whose idea was that? And can we take a moment to appreciate that sometimes leadership will be like, nah, let's see if we can fix the world. That is just such an amazing moonshot. Now I know every time you bring up a story related to China and renewables, a lot of people will immediately have this like, yeah, but what about the human rights record? Which is a fair note to bring up. Like their human rights record is a thing that is worth discussing, but like, eh, why does their human rights record stop us from doing something similar? Right? Like, why can't we have the same social programs and the same renewable and regreening programs without violating human rights? It's not like the renewable programs they have over there are powered by Soylent Green. Those are two disconnected things. Those are, they're not like throwing dissidents in as fertilizer. Like that, their human rights record does not stop us from, I don't know, trying. I know. I'm a Chinese socialist communist plant, or just someone who's losing their minds because people keep coming up with weird reasons. Okay, we're just gonna move on. Number 6. I'm trying to be positive. This is a positive podcast. At-home PCR testing is now a reality for the first time for tests that screen for chlamydia, gonorrhea, and trichomoniasis. The Visby medical test provides lab-accurate results, 98% accuracy, in just 30 minutes, offering a significant speed advantage over traditional clinic visits. New telehealth integration allows patients who test positive to receive medical consultation and prescriptions within as little as 6 hours, reducing the risk of people being lost to follow-up. These innovations are already coinciding with a hopeful downward trend, with gonorrhea cases dropping for 3 consecutive years, and syphilis and chlamydia rates also beginning to dip. Thank God. This is fabulous. I love this so much. Because look, I mean, ideally in a perfect world, the stigma would drop. Um, but we're not in a perfect world. So maybe, an at-home test is kind of nice. It's like having a self-checkout thing at the pharmacy so you can go and get your, I don't know, your butt medicine or whatever it is you need to get at the pharmacy without having to be like, having a weird moment with the cashier, who also doesn't want to be in that moment, by the way. Um, Also, that thing about loss to follow-up, that is real. I think this is going to be yet another positive feedback loop, because I used to volunteer at the hassle-free men's clinic here in Toronto. And there would be instances where people would come in for a consultation. They would test positive for something, and then they just wouldn't come back. And who knows why? Who knows what was involved there? But look, man, if you want people to do something, like, away take away all the barriers if possible. And so obviously going in for a test, dealing with someone, like even the hassle-free clinic. I went there one time and it wasn't a hassle, but it wasn't hassle-free. I told them about a little something. We all make mistakes, and there was a lot of judgy judgment. Um, and then I tested negative, so it was unnecessary judgy judgment. Anyways, point is, I think this is great, and I think that this will, as much as the rates are already going down, I think that's going to really escalate the rates descent, because now people will have way less, well, just more incentive. All right, you knew what I was talking about. I didn't have to over-explain that to you. You're smart. Number 5. Wind and solar surpassed fossil fuels in the EU's electricity generation for the first time in 2025, reaching a combined 30.1% share. So congratulations to the EU. All it took was you realizing that Russia, okay. Fossil fuel generation dropped to 29%, marking a definitive tipping point where homegrown clean power is now the primary source of electricity. Solar power achieved record growth, expanding by over 20% for the fourth consecutive year, and now providing 13% of the bloc's total power. In 14 of the 27 EU member states, wind and solar combined now generate more electricity than all the fossil fuels sources combined. Coal power plummeted to a historic if you're a nerd, 3.2%, continuing its terminal decline across major economies like Germany and Poland. Renewable energy overall, including hydro and bioenergy, provided nearly half, 48%, of all EU electricity in 2025. Battery storage deployment accelerated significantly, providing a critical tool for grid flexibility and helping to stabilize electricity prices during peak demand. Um, uh, wait, wait, what is bioenergy? That's not Soylent Green, is it? That's not like Matrix people in pods? No, no, of course not. I know it's not. I'm just being a dick. So I should do this for the entire world at some point because I think it's a fun thing. But like, just to put the story in perspective, right? I've already forgotten the number. I think it's 29%. Or 30%, pardon me, 30.1%. For perspective, in 2005, the EU's renewable, the percentage that renewables provided for the EU's power was 8.5. So that is a 600% growth in 20 years. So again, I know that people hate this, and let's be honest, the neurotypicals hate this the most. I don't know why, but I cannot see. Someone needs to explain to me why, if with all of the momentum that's going on right now, why would that growth not continue? If you're doing 600% in 20 years when we did not anticipate really any growth, you can go kick the tires, go flip through the International Energy um, Agency's, you know, MySpace page to find what they predicted in 2005. It wasn't good. Yet here we are. So bear that in mind the next time you decide to freak out. Number 4. For the first time in the nation's history, the number of Mexicans, this is in Mexico in case you did not guess, in the middle class exceeds those living in poverty. So congrats to Mexico. Mexico's middle class grew by over 12 percentage points between 2018 and 2024, the largest increase among all Latin American nations during this period. Approximately 13.4 million people were lifted out of poverty in just 6 years, with the poverty rate dropping from 41.9% to 29.6%. The income poverty line fell significantly, with the percentage of population below it dropping from 35.5% in 2018 to 21.7% in 2024. Roughly 12 million Mexicans, weird slip, achieved middle class status during this window, bringing that segment of the population to 39.6%. This transition created a virtuous cycle in the broader economy, boosting domestic consumption, business profits, and overall financial activity. The World Bank forecasts indicate Mexico is firmly on the path to becoming a stable, upper middle income nation, with the potential to completely eradicate extreme poverty through continued inclusive policies. And I know I've sort of alluded to this before, but just for the long term, maybe Mexico is going to want to pay for that wall. Because every time I read one of these stories, it really does feel like the U.S. and Mexico are just doing a really long-term, like decades-long Freaky Friday. Yeah, but I need to talk to a money nerd because I want to know how Mexico is doing this. Because all we get, you know, the U.S. and Canada, all we get is stories about how the middle class is shrinking. And they make it sound like, oh, what are you gonna do? But dude, what are you gonna do? What's Mexico doing? Go ask them. Pregúntele. I think that's terrible Spanish, by the way. I blame Duolingo. Number 3, scientists have successfully rejuvenated human eggs for the first time using a technique that could significantly increase IVF success rates for women in their late 30s and 40s. The process involves micro-injecting a protein called Shugoshin-1, which is a weird name, but I kind of like it. It does sound like a video game character that, you face down after you defeat Bison in final. Okay. Uh, Sugarshin 1 acts as a molecular glue to keep chromosome pairs properly aligned during cell division. This is me on my meds, by the way. Research showed that this treatment nearly halved chromosomal defects, reducing errors from 53% to 29% in donated eggs. In a broader preclinical study of over 100 eggs, the treatment increased the proportion of viable eggs from 47% to 71%. By restoring this glue, that's in quotes, because obviously, I don't know why they had to put in quotes. I'm guessing, I think we all know there's no glue in there. To youthful levels, the technique addresses the primary cause of miscarriage and IVF failure in older women. This one-shot injection aims to help more women conceive within a single IVF cycle, potentially reducing the need for multiple grueling rounds of treatment and, work like fucking, from what I've heard from some of my friends who were trying to get pregnant. Independent experts note that this targets a specific biological vulnerability that was previously considered untreatable. Okay? This is amazing news for people who are slow burns, who are like, oh, you know what? Shit, I do want a kid. Now I'm in my 40s. But yeah, that is amazing news. Not so much if you were looking to forward to, unprotected sex in your 40s and 50s. That's a little disappointing. But great news if you're looking to become a parent and you're a little older. Number 2, at the COP20 conference, 185 countries reached a landmark agreement to protect 74 species of sharks and rays, the most comprehensive conservation package in the treaty's 50-year history. Whale sharks, oceanic white-tip sharks, and all manta and devil rays were uplisted to Appendix 1, granting them the highest level of protection and an effective ban on all international commercial trade. This marks the first time in history that widely traded shark species have received a total commercial ban, a move once considered politically impossible. These protections directly combat the unsustainable demand for shark fins, liver oil used in cosmetics. Come on, why do you need shark liver in your... Okay. The ray and ray gill plates used in traditional medicine. As keystone species, the recovery of these populations will help restore balance to marine ecosystems, protecting the life force of the oceans and coastal communities that depend on them. I threw this one in there just to show that obviously Steven Spielberg is a monster because Jaws is responsible for so much of the the human on shark hate. No, I threw this in there because of the phrase politically impossible. I just want you all to remember that, because right now, I am sure there are a lot of people who think there are a lot of things that are politically impossible. I'm doing air quotes if you're not watching on YouTube. And I just want to bear this in mind. There's every now and then, regularly, there are politically impossible victories that keep happening. So keep that in your cap. If you have a cap, and if you're into that thing. Number 1, the 2025 Antarctic ozone hole officially closed on December 1st, marking the earliest closure in 6 years and a major step toward long-term recovery. This year's hole was the smallest and shortest lived in 5 years, representing the second consecutive 12-month period of significant improvement. Scientists recorded higher than average ozone concentrations within the Antarctic stratosphere, suggesting the Earth's protective shield is strengthening. The ozone hole reached a maximum area of 21.08 million square kilometers, which is roughly 20% smaller than the hole documented just 2 years prior. Experts credit this success to the global ban on ozone-depleting substances, ODS, through the Montreal Protocol, which has successfully phased out 99% of these harmful chemicals. What is that other 1%? How? It's like somebody in the 80s just hoarded a whole bunch of spray because they were like, I can't live without this. I'm guessing it's Bon Jovi or some hair band waiting for their comeback tour. Current projections suggest the ozone layer is on track to fully recover by 1980 levels by roughly 2066 over the Antarctic and as early as 2040 for the rest of the world. And I threw this one in there. Again, I like this because this is what a win looks like. It's so... This is the conundrum. And if you have any advice for me, please send me an email, totalnihilation@gmail.com. Because the good news are their processes. They're long, ongoing processes. Processes? Processes. They take longer. And then the bad news are little spike events that people just get big dopamine hits off of and then never follow up on. And it is hard for them to land the good news bits, because by the time they land, by the time we've corrected the thing that everyone was freaking out about, you've moved on to freak out about something else. You know what? Maybe I shouldn't fight you. Maybe freaking out is your basketball. You know? I watch basketball. That's ludicrous. That is ludicrous. Grown adults, 48 minutes in a restricted area, trying to repeatedly put a ball through a hoop with a series of arbitrary rules in place. And I watch it a lot. So, you know what? You want to freak out? You freak out. Freak out. Enjoy your freak out. But if you don't enjoy the freak out, please enjoy this podcast. All right, guys. Listen, that is it for the bulk of this podcast. I don't know what's going on with my brain. I have a show tonight. This is not going to go well. Not with the way I'm currently speaking. But I'm going to leave you off with a fun little bit that we like to call 25 seconds of good news. Here we go. Let me just get the timer ready. It gets so weird. I hope it doesn't do it again. I want to turn on the volume. By the way, I'm using a new microphone setup, so I hope the sound does not suck. Apologies if it does, because I'll only know once I start editing this thing. Here we go. 25 seconds of good news. I got a good feeling about this one. The record is 6. Researchers at the University of Texas at Austin have developed a scalable and eco-friendly way of turning biomass like food scraps, branches, and seashells into sorbents that can absorb water from the air and then releases very little heat. According to a report released by the International Labor Organization, wage inequality has decreased since 2000. The number of children working in child labor has dropped by 50% in the past 20 years. Thailand banned corporal punishment of children in 2025. Ah! Oh, that was not good. That was 4. That was 4. You know, when you come in and you're like, I'm going to crush this, that is when you don't crush it. And then when you don't have any kind of inkling of how it's going to go, that's when you do very well. Anyways, guys, that is the show. I hope you enjoy it. Please remember to rate and review if you have not already. And if you're listening to YouTube, watching this on YouTube, please like and subscribe if you have not already. Guys, I'm also on Substack now. Substack.com/Total Nihilation, or at Total Nihilation. So it's very much like the podcast, where I riff on fun stuff like how people freaking out about AI water consumption makes no sense, and how movies like One Battle After Another are both racist and not racist. So if you like a good fun read, little brain exercises, please give that a read. Go ahead and subscribe to that. I am at Nile on all socials. The show, if you enjoyed any part of the show, please feel free to throw me some money. little change at my Buy Me a Coffee page, buymeacoffee.com/total annihilation. And yeah, if you have any questions, comments, you can email me at totalannihilation@gmail.com. I am working on an audience story episode where it's just stories that I get from people who message me. So if you have any of those, feel free to send them my way. When this comes out, there will still be time. I'm going to be doing the Stratford Pride Festival, March 6th. So if you're in Stratford, come on out to that. Why would you have a Pride Festival in March? We don't need to go into that. And that is it for the show, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. And remember, if you cannot be a shining example, be a terrifying warning. Let's get it on three, everybody. 1, 2, 3.